Welcome to the Green Dream Project. Jim here.
And Jessica.
And we thought it was time for a little garden tour because it's getting late in the growing season. Probably got frosts on the way.
Every night gets a little cooler.
Well, the garden actually, it really popped.
Yeah, unfortunately, not too long ago.
We planted kind of late in the season, but we want to take you in there and show you what's going on before everything dies.
Now, this is our first garden out here, and we got things planted a little later than we wanted to because we were working on our rainwater harvesting system.
Everything out here we had to build. We had to build a completely enclosed garden space to keep any of the animals away. And then in the meantime, we had to get water, so the roof was another thing.
It was kind of a nice gardening adventure we had this year.
Let's take them inside. Come on. You guys want to see what's in here. Let's go. Welcome to the garden. It's like a little bit of a jungle in here. Check this out, you guys. This is our self-watering planter.
I'm not sure what's going to happen with this planter. There's some adjustments I want to make with it, so maybe that will be a project for next year.
What do you think was the issue with this?
I would like to have it be more of a wicking planter, but I didn't put any wicking material in there. I think that would really help to bring the moisture up further from the bottom, which is where you put the water in. Right now it needs an Oya pot for a little extra moisture at the top, which is fine, but I think it could be improved.
But look, we got a tiny little cucumber growing.
The Armenian cucumber plants came from my aunt. We started out with, I think, 4 of them, and this is the last sole survivor. The Armenian cucumber really likes heat.
Armenian cucumber says, bring on the heat.
Remember when we lived in central Arizona? We had an Armenian cucumber plant that did really well there.
It loved it.
And it's a lot cooler now, so the growth has slowed way down. I think it's about done. But we do have this tiny cucumber that made it. That's probably the only one we're gonna get off of it.
Who gets the tiny cucumber?
We can split it. What we have that did just great is this flat leaf Italian parsley. I already harvested quite a bit from it.
It's still growing like crazy, isn't it?
Yep.
Woo!
And our comfrey.
Check out this comfrey, y'all. Oh!
We did a whole video on that.
The comfrey is going like crazy. It's going like crazy all over the place. Every place we put it, huh?
Yeah, we have 3 plants in here. They originally came from Liana at McCoy's Oak Hill Farm. They really took off once we got them in the ground, and a little chewed up by grasshoppers, but comfrey doesn't care.
Comfrey don't care.
And then we have a marigold.
The marigold is beautiful. You gotta see this. The colors are just amazing.
And this just bloomed. And that's next to our green onions. And we've been harvesting from them throughout the summer and fall.
Some of these plants are just the gift that keeps on giving, aren't they?
Yeah.
Woo!
On our shelf here in the front, there's a couple of cacti we got from Tammy from Little Jordan Farm. And they're growing new little cactus pads.
Nice.
And then we have a chocolate mint. That one came from my aunt too.
I remember you dried some of that just recently, and the scent was incredible.
Smells like candy.
Yeah, that did really well. And of course you wanted to grow that in a pot because it can be invasive, can it? It can take over.
Yeah, mint spreads.
The middle of the garden just like, wow, it really did well, didn't it?
I would call it a beautiful mess.
Hey, but that's, if you're starting a permaculture garden, that's absolutely kind of what you're going for, isn't it? Beautiful mess. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
It took me by surprise for sure. This section of our garden we planted for
Secret Gardener Challenge, yo!
So we didn't even know what these plants were. They were mystery seeds sent to us.
Let's take a look at the Secret Gardener area.
Some of these plants, they're volunteer seeds that popped up probably from our compost. Some kind of squash plant. I guess it's also a mystery. We don't know what it is, but I'm thinking it's spaghetti squash. They grew up to the ceiling and there's some fruits coming in. Unfortunately, I don't know if we're gonna have enough time to get anything that we can actually use. That one has some flowers, and it even has a little pepper on it.
Whoa, we got a little pepper.
Pepper. There's also some cilantro over here. Some of it has bolted. And in the middle are some tomato plants. Ironically, this is the area that we didn't trellis. We put, I guess they're tomato cages that we put around the peppers, but no tomato cage around the tomatoes. So I had to kind of rig up something to support it a little bit more. And one actually broke, so I had to splint it, and it's doing fine. But no tomatoes on here, just some flowers.
All right, come on down to the other side. All right, this is the other side of the garden. Check this out. What's going on over here?
So we have the rest of our mystery seeds. We do have some okra.
How do you think that'll fare with the cooler temperatures coming?
I don't know. I feel like okra is another one of those plants that likes heat.
Likes the heat.
But there are some little okras on there.
Tiny little okras.
I don't know what's gonna happen to them. On our far western side, really just the same story over here with our zucchini plant. It's flowering, and there's even a small zucchini growing.
Woohoo!
It might be the only one we get, and I don't know how big it's gonna get.
I'll take our little harvest, our little tiny harvest.
On the eggplant, I really love this plant.
Because it's the only thing that's given us fruit.
Yes. Yeah, it's been giving us fruit throughout the summer. It's a Japanese eggplant, and it does well in the heat, and it's a beautiful plant.
And it was super tasty.
So some of these plants, the potted ones, we might have to bring inside over the winter. It's a little too cold, like this succulent that was given to us by Stacy at Stacy Here We Grow Again. We'll have to find a good place for that.
A little bit of a temporary home.
I wish we just had like another month.
One more month, am I right? Who can relate to that? One more month of warmth.
But see, that's the difference between here and where we were growing. We had a longer growing season there. We could grow all year round, but here it's a different story.
It's a much colder, harsher story.
It's a much colder, harsher story.
So the other night we had our first freeze here.
It was cold. Oh my goodness. I didn't even want to get out of bed that day.
Well, it just barely touched 32 degrees.
That's it.
But literally overnight, most of the garden just, it was dead.
So we did this whole garden update thinking, man, look at how well this thing did. You know, in the cooler temperatures. Then it got a little too cold. And then the plants were just like, nah, we don't like it.
So I feel like this is a good time to kind of reflect on how things went with our first garden.
Now's the time to reflect. Memories. What are the takeaways? What did we learn?
I think the biggest lesson learned here was about timing.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't have too much control over that because we needed to build a garden. It just took way too long and everything got in late.
It just goes to show what happens when you try to work outside of that natural timing.
We tried pushing our luck. We wanted to get something in the ground, something growing. It grew. We didn't get much from it, but
Yeah.
things grew.
And space was an issue too. This isn't a big garden. We did want to start small, but I think we really pushed our luck with the spacing too, putting a lot of plants in. And then we had some volunteer plants come up, and I let a lot of those grow too.
And I don't think it's a bad thing necessarily to push on how much you can do in one space, but I mean...
I think you need a little more planning when
Yeah.
you're doing that, and having the right combinations of plants that allow you to grow closer together. So another issue that comes into play when you're dealing with spacing is creating microclimates. So certain different, nooks and crannies are gonna have a different effect on light, on temperature, and the plants are gonna respond to that. What we found when a lot of the plants did die back after that freeze, this tomato plant that just popped up by our shipping container, that's fine. I think that area actually created a microclimate that allowed the tomato to survive over there.
What?
But I think another part of this is it was kind of nice just to experiment, kind of let go of our expectations of the results, not being so worried about what these plants are producing, but actually seeing the different interactions going on.
And the thing is, to start small, I mean, we started pretty small. We started even smaller than I think we anticipated, but it was enough to get an idea of how to grow out here. I mean, we didn't plant anything for a fall garden, so I don't know. I'm not sure when we'll get back to planting, but when we do, we'll have a good idea of how to go about it again.
Mm-hmm. So when do you think we'll get our next garden planted?
Are you seriously asking that? I don't know. Honestly, we got a lot coming up. And we still got to finish the shed. We got to build a house. Keep the gardening in there.
Well, I feel like I'm always going to be planting.
Could probably plant some things in between some things, right?
Yeah.
Well, thanks a lot for joining us, everyone. Like I said, we got a lot coming up. You definitely want to be around for that. Everyone's been asking, how the bees doing? You're going to find out. Should be interesting. Thanks a lot for joining us, everyone. You can catch us on the next video. Later.